Welcome to day 12, and today we are in Jordan, and we are heading to the Wadi Rum Nature Reserve, and that is where that famous movie Laurence of Arabia was filmed, and also where a lot of those things took place. So I was actually in the canyon, apparently, where he came running through and everything, so we took many photos, and it was gorgeous. The sand was this beautiful, beautiful red color, and then it was kind of striped a little bit with a lighter color of sand. There were beautiful stones everywhere. It was all sandstone. It was another gorgeous day. Our ship landed in Aqaba, and then we drove about an hour and 15 minutes to get to the reserve. Once we got there, there was a little tourist area, and then we also watched a little video, but it just told us a little bit about living there, what the nature around there is like, as well as the stones, how it used to all be covered in water, which I find very interesting, so you can find fossils in the ground. I didn't find any, but I did look a little. Also, they talk about the 4 elements and how they play a big role here. So fire, which is the sun, and fire obviously to cook things and to keep warm. There's water, which you need to live and is difficult to find at times. Earth, which is the sand, of course, which they walk on, they grow things in as well. Apparently it's very rich with minerals. And then there's wind, which is a very prevalent thing there. I mean, the temperature for me kept, it was hot and then it was cold and it was hot and it was cold because the wind would suddenly pick up and I'd be freezing and I'd have to put my sweater back on, and then there'd be no wind and I would be melting. Then we headed to our jeeps and they were all parked there. They all looked quite old and they all had little benches in the back with padding on both the backs and the bottoms, and they'd lock you in there. It seemed like they could have been in a museum. They were so old. No, not really. We kind of pulled out and started kind of weaving our way through. We stopped at one spot to take a beautiful picture of this lovely scenery, and I grabbed lots of footage while we were in the jeeps. Felt like I was in a movie or something, or like I was going to go on a safari. It was such a neat way to travel through the desert in the jeeps, and you feel it kind of sliding on the sand slightly, and apparently you have to go like a certain speed or else you would sink too much into the sand. So I enjoyed it. Some of the elder people maybe didn't like it as much, but I was ecstatic about it. It was gorgeous how the footprints looked in the sand, so I grabbed a couple photos of those. Also, the Bedouins, who are nomads in that area, have this custom of putting stones standing up all along in a line to mark that, this is our territory, you can't settle here, we've already claimed this. And it looks so pretty with the shadows and the red and the dark rocks on top of the sand and the blue sky. Again, the contrasts are just so gorgeous here. And the sand is just so red and so fine. It's almost like a powder. So I took a little for myself because it was so lovely. And it'll go very nicely beside my little bit that I took from the pyramid. So I have this very yellow sand and I have a much more reddy orange sand. It's cool. Now, I of course picked the exciting jeep. Our jeep broke down, so we were just sitting there tootling along. Me and the pregnant lady got out and pushed a little. Eventually they got it working and another car came back for us, and then when we got to the next stop, a whole bunch of the Bedouin men jumped out and were trying to figure out what was wrong with it. So I grabbed a picture of them because it was just funny seeing like 6 men all, standing around thinking, well, I'm gonna be the one to fix this. And then that's where apparently lots of the movie was shot as well. So it was cool to see that. And the rock formations are beautiful. I guess from all the wind must have carved out all these beautiful, beautiful things. It looked like someone engineered them. It looked like an architect came and designed them, or an artist came and made them. Mother Nature is the best artist ever, I think. After that, the next spot we went to had thematic writing, and it was really neat to see. So there was a bit of writing, so there were like people's names, and there were some Greek names and then some tribal names, I guess, and they had carved in camels and ostrich and apparently footprints or something that they like to carve, because whereas some people make their living with their hands doing a trade of some sort, these people make their living by walking through the desert, like by herding their sheep and whatnot, so they use their feet, so they'll carve things like that into the rock instead. I thought that was very interesting. And behind us, when we were checking out this writing, there were a whole bunch of camels chilling for people to camel ride, and my interest was definitely sparked. Also, there were these cute little camels and they were making out. I don't know, they might have been grooming each other, but it was cute, so I stole a little video of it. Look at them, they're loving each other. Mwah, mwah, mwah. It was hilarious. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Then I was asked if I wanted to go for a camel ride to get to the next spot. We were heading to this place to have tea or coffee, and hells yeah, I wanted to go. Camel ride? Sign me up. So they picked, you know, the appropriate camel for each person's size, and mine was sort of a blondie white camel, and of course I think mine was the prettiest. It was fun getting up on them. I mean, their saddles have like the two horns kind of on either side that you hop into, so if you're sitting wrong in it like another woman was, then it digs into your back, but I was fine. And then reins just like a horse, steering just like a horse, and they like that sound. But the camel could tell when it was the man and when it was me doing the sound. Damn it, I couldn't make him go fast on my own. But the man was more than happy to make the camel go quick for me, so I enjoyed that. And I also took lots of photos of the camels. They have the prettiest little eyelashes. And they have the softest little noses. I gave them some loving. After I hopped off my camel, I gave them some lots of love. And one of the Bedouins actually gave me some flowers, which was so sweet. So there's a photo of me with the camel and with the flowers. At the place where we took tea, the tea itself was flavored with cinnamon and sage and lots of sweetener. I would have been happy without the sweetener. It was a very nice flavor, and I could easily make this at home, so that's cool. And they boiled it in a fire. And they also had the low seating again with cushions, and they were covered in very vibrant colors. Then we drove a little bit more, and I took some more photos. I couldn't get enough of the scenery. It was gorgeous, and like taking pictures of our sort of little caravan, I guess you could call it, all of our little jeeps in a row. We also passed by a couple areas where the Bedouins had set up a bit more of a permanent residence. There were tents, but then there were also these things that looked like they were made out of a sort of clay or concrete that was very orangey, and they were all triangular, so they were like reminding you of the pyramids. Obviously they aren't. They were just little ones, so I grabbed some shots as I was going by. We got to the Bedouin camp, and they had all these black tents around with, again, the low seating and nice tables, and then they had like rugs randomly on the sand in that whole area as well to make it, I guess, easier to walk on, but it was just weird seeing like rugs chilling about. Like it wasn't a particular path, it was just, you know, randomly, so your feet can enjoy it. There was also this long bathroom. Apparently some of them were more like little shower stalls where you just kind of squat, but then there were other ones that were real toilets and kind of fancy. So I got into it, did my business, turn around and I see a pedal and I'm thinking, oh, okay, so you just push that down with your foot and that, you know, flushes the toilet. No, it was like a bidet squirter, and luckily I just kind of jumped out of the way just in the nick of time. My cat-like reflexes came in handy here, and I quickly shut it off with the tip of my foot, flushed it like you're supposed to. But I found that quite odd and kind of nice, although I didn't use it because it seemed weird. But cool nonetheless. Lunch was a barbecue. There was chicken, lamb, beef, and the lamb was in these kind of, it looked like it was like ground lamb, and then they were in these like meat sticks almost. They didn't look so appetizing, but they were very flavorful and tasty, and they had almost Moroccan flavored rice, like with cinnamon and whatnot in it. A whole bunch of different little things to try. A couscous salad, some things were spicy, some things weren't. Carrots that were kind of ground up and in their own special sauce. It was really neat to try all the things. They weren't my favorite, but everyone else seemed to love them, so a good spot to check out perhaps if you ever come this way. When lunch was over, we just all hopped on the bus and took the hour and 15-minute ride back to our boat, and then it's a night of relaxing, and then tomorrow we go to Petra. Ooh. I'm so excited. It's going to be so beautiful. For those of you who don't know what Petra is, I'll have more details for you tomorrow, but if you've seen Indiana Jones 3 in The Last Crusade, that temple they go to, the outside that's carved into the cliff face, that's Petra. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.